Information Systems for Hofstra Law School. This is my fourth Cali presentation, but always nice to see good familiar faces here. And the title's a little misleading, so I can talk about that in a second. It's Outsourcing is in, and what we did with outside services to solve some problems we had. There was some solutions, come up with some solutions. I want to make this interactive, so if you guys have done some things on a tight budget, it's been the key factor here this year. Callie has been talking about doing things on a tight budget. I was at, video conferencing on a tight budget, on the budget yesterday, and that seems to be the common theme because it seems a lot of law schools have their budgets tightened and shrunk in the past year. So to give you a little background on what we were doing, we had a set of strategic goals, plain strategic goals. We were looking to do a lot more blogs. We were looking to do a lot more with video. We were coming up with much more of a video presence in the school. That included webcasts. And we wanted to do some other projects, and we're going to talk about the FLAIR project, which is the Family Law Education Reform Project that one of our faculty asked us to do along with William Mitchell and the AFCC. We also had some ad hoc projects, and some of those were during the year that just came up. And we had a student services, student affairs, social network site. We had another separate site called the nonprof.org, which is the nonprofits ALS section that's run by Norm Silver, one of our faculty. And finally, we had the crux of what the webcast came about, and that's what I'll talk about Livestream in a little bit. Debate 08. Hofstra University, as you may know, hosted the last presidential debate in October. We'd like to think the most important one. And our dean really stressed early on during that, I'd say early summer, was that about right, Andrew? She wanted to webcast panels that we were going to do concurrent with Debate 08. And we had a series of panels leading up to that day, and we actually had, I think, 4 or 5 panels the day of the debate. So I got to play de facto host inside the new courtroom in 308 as we had panel after panel. So she wanted to webcast all those debate panels, and rightfully so. Yeah, right? But we were facing a lot of problems, as a lot of you guys have been facing. First of all, technical problem. We didn't have a streaming video server. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Second thing, we didn't have any separate blog servers. And I'm going to talk more about that in the university problems. So right then and there, I've got a couple issues that might require money. Well, here's the big problem we had a budget shortfall, and we didn't come close to our number of students that we had admitting in our first year class that we thought we were going to have. Thus, things got cut, like our IT budget. So right there, and I hear somebody laughing, common thread, right? How many people's budgets got cut last year? There you go, most of you guys. So we're all in the same boat. So we had a fixed number of costs that we could use, finite amount of money, and we had certain projects that we had to fund as is. Now, I talked about that video presence that we needed to have, and we had to upgrade our file server, our storage, to the SAN. And so we spent money on that. I wish David Whelan was here about the New York markup. But we spent 15 grand to upgrade our SAN storage just so we could house our video library. Because we were doing a lot of faculty videos and things like that, a lot of flash. So there was money already spent on that, and now I don't have money spent on the streaming server. University problems. We had a couple of them. One is university policy cannot host a blog server in Hofstra internally. How many other people have that issue? Oh, cool, we're the only one. And this is being broadcasted too. Hi. So that's the thing. So we had to host our blog externally anyhow. Another issue that we came across was access. And if we were going to build servers, they're going to have to be housed at the computer center. We don't have our own machine room. We have the university access, and there are university restrictions. And a lot of that is going to come into play we have right now with our content management system. I had to fight tooth and nail to get Mike a manager's role for something we were doing for our website. So how is it going to play when I have to try to do 2 separate servers, for hosting other sites? So before you throw pitchforks and say, kill a monster, my definition of outsourcing is different from Wikipedia's. Now, Wikipedia, the standard definition is, taking the management and the day-to-day functions of a business function and outsourcing that to an outside service. That's not what I'm talking about here. So before you guys decide a riot or throw popcorn at me, I want you to remember what you may have seen in Young Frankenstein. No. A riot is an ugly thing, but we're not going to have a riot. So the thought is that we want to just be able to control the outside services that we're going to use, and that's an important thing for us. We need to have control of those things outside of the hardware, and we need to have the functionality. It's services that we can't have at the university, either through access or funds, whatever. So that was the key thought here. We needed to still have control. So whatever service we were going to use to set up our blogs, our Drupal sites, more on that in a second, and webcasting, we needed to have basically what we thought was complete control. So we're not talking about people losing their jobs. We're not talking about cutting down staffing. It's strictly just using outside services. And that enabling us to do enabled us in our way, and I'll get to it in a second, to actually decrease the amount of time support we thought for these projects. Now, it was recommended for our Flare project site by Mimi Samuel, who is the legal writing professor at Seattle University Law School. What happened was, when we were discussing this project with Professor Andy Shepard, who oversees the Family Law Education Reform Project at Hofstra in Marshall, he recommended that we should follow the Legal Writing Institute in Seattle. So I got in touch with Mimi, and Mimi suggested that you should host this externally anyway, for all the reasons she said, as far as access, as far as professionalism, and having its own look. And it's still a Hofstra brand, but it's a little different from our site. And when I thought about it, it really made sense, because there was also this in regard. I'm on the University Security Policy Committee that did a lot of the security for the university, computer security. And one of the things that we're going to need to do for the Flare project is that we wanted to have editors be able to update content, to add resources, to add FAQs, simulation exercises. And we were very restrictive on the policy about outside users accessing Hofstra systems, rightfully so. So we had that issue right then and there. Fact also the matter is, we didn't have the money to do a Drupal server. We didn't have the money to do a separate site. We looked at the university solutions. The people server was not acceptable because of similar issue of access. So we decided to use Bluehost. It was recommended by a faculty computing support director, and she had used it for her PN Wiki. And so we looked at Bluehost and said, great. And so it houses our 2 Drupal sites, which is the Flare project and the nonprof.org. It also houses our blogs, so V2 Evolution blogs. It hosts our Blogster, our faculty blog. And it also hosts a clinic blog we actually have for our economic community development. And we're planning to add a few more. We actually house an internal blog, but that died a untimely death. So, and that's something else I'll talk about later as far as promotion and follow-up. So we have those issues. And the thing we also wanted to do is we wanted a service that was easy in functionality and upgrades. And Bluehost allows that. And that's through simple scripts. It's a simple application. What I'm hoping to do is that we'll have time at the end so you can go under the hood some of these things. And we're going to do about a 10-minute demonstration of Livestream in a little bit from my co-presenter, which is David Resto, assistant director at the law school, IT. But this is how we use simple scripts. And you can see up here, it's really one click to install, do a Drupal instance. And you have that. and the B2 Evolution. And if you feel like building your own learning management system, you have Moodle right there. And all sorts of other applications. And they're very good about updating the, to new versions, B2 Evolution and Drupal. So, and it's a really, really good site, and I highly recommend it if you're looking to do an outsourcing service. This is our Flare project site. This is basically, and I'm going to give you a common theme on this in the next few minutes. Mike set up the site, and he gave rights to various faculty in family law, and they're responsible for updating the content and adding the content. That's a key thing for us, is that when we built these sites, we wanted to set them up, give the users access, be on our merry way. And then if they need help to update things, we'll gladly do that. Our biggest problem right now in law school is this. We have a content management system where we do all the web content, the content updating. It's because partially the implementation of the hand-in-hill cascade, I don't think it's the content management system itself, we're learning that. It's the implementation and how restricted the templates are for updating. So we have most of our departments, we have some departments that do their own, but most of our departments send their content to us. So we're responsible for content update. Not only is Mike's group responsible for content update, they're doing, design and video production, and we shouldn't be doing content update. So when we were designing these sites, when we were deciding to do the external sites, that was a key thing for us. And actually doing it through Bluehost and doing an outsource site allowed us to do that. And it's a common theme throughout this. So it's the faculty, who are doing, faculty editors, and the editor for, the assistant for Amy Shepard, that's doing all the updating. We're not. And that's a really key thing. And I can't stress that enough. Likewise, I was responsible for updating the ALS nonprofit listservs. We created a couple listservs for the ALS section, nonprofit organizations. And that was, overseen by Norm Silvers, a faculty member at Hofstra Law School. Norm came to us because, obviously, a listserv is not as professional looking, and he wanted to do a blog. And also, I was glad that he came to us because I was tired of maintaining the listservs. I mean, seriously, you have them, his student assistant, or Norm, and then be able to update it themselves. And so that's how the Flare project came to be. The one thing I wish is they wish they'd use it a little more often. A common theme, Irene, as we talk about, keeping things up to date. But it's an external site. It's not really affiliated with Hofstra. We host it, through Bluehost, and we set it up, but they maintain it. And don't worry, I'll get on Norm Silver's case and keeping it up to date. All right, this is our Blogstra. This is our faculty blog. It's a B2 Evolution blog. The wonderful thing is I set it up, and I gave the editors rights, which is the communications department, and they are responsible for doing all the updates. They do all the updates on the blog. And what's beautiful about it is it's replaced our faculty in the news page. We used to have to update those pages ourselves. The communications would give us the content, we updated it. No longer the case. We still, if you go on the site, law.hofstra.edu, and go to news and events, you'll see the old faculty news pages. We no longer do them. It is strictly now through the blog. And that's a wonderful thing. So now they're responsible for the content management. Mike's done a really great job. He's added a tag cloud to that, and we're going to use that for RSS feeds later on. And what we're talking about is that's actually the RSS feed there. And you can see it actually gives you the time, how last it was updated. And he used that with Google Gadget. And we also have an RSS feed for our latest news. So that's a wonderful thing about it. We're no longer responsible for a main update section of the law school website and the communications part. And that's about it. It's empowering your users. And we're rethinking what we're doing over the next year with our content management system and what we're doing. So, well, we did this great thing with the faculty blog, and we set the RSS feeds up. And I was like, great, now I could just show the faculty and show them how to set up an RSS feed on their browser. Simple steps, no problems, it should be just fine. Well, not exactly. a lot of our faculty wanted an email digest. I know. RSSD is really easy to set up. They wanted an email digest. So, I first looked at the Mailman. I set up a Mailman server on Bluehost. And I forwarded the Blogster to the Mailman server. But the formatting was stripped, and there was issues about all that, and it didn't look really professional. So I was looking for a solution for that. And I came up with, there's a company called AWeber Communications. It's aweber.com. They take RSS feeds, and you can actually customize the branding. You can actually, for a feed, it's about, I'll show you the figures in a second at the end. And you can actually set it up as an email digest with daily, weekly, number of posts, say 5 posts, and it sends it out. And you just click on the link, and it takes you right to the site on Blogster. And the nice, lovely thing about it is it keeps track through the CSS that they do of how many clicks of each of the articles. It opens, so you get open things, that's a good thing. But it keeps part of the clicks and all that. So it's a very useful thing, and hopefully maybe we'll open this up to allowing alumni to subscribe to it and all that. So it's actually been a really good solution. So that was really our blogs and our Drupal site. So now the need for webcasting. So to refresh the review, we had a debate 08 panels, and there were about 6 or 7. So we had a webcast for that. Didn't have a streaming video server, we'll talk about that in a second. And we also had the Energy in the Law conference, and that was coming up and we were planning for that. Unbeknownst to us, when we were doing the planning for that, was that the faculty required that as required viewing for their classes, whether it was environmental law, real estate. Mike's laughing, because we had no idea of it. It's a good thing there's an archive feature in Livestream and the site. But we had no idea about it. And the kicker was this. Here's the kicker on this. This will give you the humor about how you plan things. The conference was, I think, March 19th and 20th. It was a Thursday and Friday. They decided, unfortunately, someone in the SBA didn't see the conference schedule, and that's something about conference scheduling systems where, our friend Phil Bowles talking over in the next room, and I would be at that session if ours wasn't at the same time. They scheduled the Barristers Ball Thursday night. The Friday was the big day of the conference. You had all the 3Ls, that's when the 3Ls get this sort of like graduating moment, their party, their last big party for those EIMs that they're graduating. So, and of course having libations. So you can see that many students weren't coming in the next day to, to view this. So it turned out we had a lot of demand for the videos after the fact. Thankfully, the live stream, there's an automatic recording. I'll talk about that more in a second. So that's the issues we were facing. So we had technical problems. We didn't have a streaming video server. We didn't have the money for a streaming video server. The university, you would think, they did have a streaming video server, but it wasn't a live server. There was also another problem with that. I'm going to talk more about this in a second. It's a Helix server. It doesn't support Flash. We're viewing all our videos in Flash. We're trying to put some of the videos, we put a good number of videos of our video production in YouTube. It's Flash. So, and that's what I'm going to talk more about in a little bit, about why you might want to use an outside service. Yes?
Doesn't Helix have an add-in now, or?
Not the version that we have.
Oh,
the server that they have is not knowledge. I'll check on that.
Yeah.
But at the time, we said, no, it doesn't support Flash. But it's also now a live server. Yes?
I think they do. We discontinued our Helix server, and when I told them why, because we were moving on to other solutions, they offered a Flash thing, but it cost money.
All right, I'll have to look and see that. But I'm pretty sure, Mike, it's not a live server, though, the one they have? Yeah. So if you ever want to see Mike's eyes roll, just say University Helix server. So, yeah, that's one of the issues we have. And so we're facing all those problems. And so the idea then was to outsource. So we're looking at third-party solutions. We looked at some sites that host servers. They'll do your video conferencing for you. Your webcasting for you. And then we looked at Mobilus. It's now known as Livestream. And we thought maybe Mobilus might be the solution. And at the time, it also was free. And that was the beta. It was September '08 when we signed up. And I'll say a little bit about it. It requires a little bit of overhead, a little bit of maintenance to start setting up. Not too much though, Mike, right? Yeah, and you could brand, and they'll talk all about, David Resto does his talk, he'll talk about it. So we had the branding, we had the site, we had it all set up. And so we decided to do it in room 230, which wasn't the ideal place for our the first panel. It's a large classroom, but it's not our ideal conference room. Our conference room is room 308, beside the courtroom. That's where we usually hold our conferences and lectures. But due to room availability, that's what we had. So it had a smart podium, it had a sound system, but it only had one wireless mic. So we had to borrow a 4-mic setup from the university. And we did our testing, we did our live feed. And so how'd it go? It went pretty well. In fact, I promoted this on Technoids back in October. It was October 2nd, and I actually sent it out on Technoids, and some of you guys actually were kind enough to go on the chat room. We had about 30 users or so. And there were some issues. There were some slight problems with browser and browser problems. And one of the key problems we had is that we didn't have a microphone for the audience. We did have ceiling mics that are supposed to pick up the audience, but it wasn't picking it up. And we have to re-look into that. That's part of the suggestions I have for you guys. So it went pretty well, but success comes with a price. They thought our administration thought it went so well, they wanted to webcast everything. Like things that weren't on our list, and in rooms that we didn't have really any. We had a smart podium set up, but rooms that I didn't even think they would even use for. I think our Census 2010, which is on our live stream on demand site, was in 242, and I would never ever in a million years use that room to do a webcast. But that's what we had to play with. So we had to do a lot of configuration of cabling and smart podiums, and that's why I was talking with Annalisa before, and actually talked with, I think it was Rex. Yeah, and about setups, and I'll go more about that in a second. And it's really difficult when you have 10 minutes to work with. You've got a class that's already done at 12. They want this thing to start at 12:10, and I'll talk more about that. So we're scrambling. So we tried to do more permanent setups. We were able to configure 2 of our classrooms with Crestrons. In the past year, we had actually budget for that. I had to fight for that and got that. So we started webcasting a lot of things, and we didn't get advanced warning on this. I know Andrew was telling me about a lot of times we wouldn't get advanced warning. We had I think it was the Hans Corell, the UN one that I remember distinctly, because in March of 2009, Mobilus went from beta to live. And they actually offered a free channel and a professional. So we signed up to try and save, to do the free channel. And they said there were ads, and I said, how bad could it be? So I tried. Yeah, here's me laughing. Yeah. So what happened was, we're watching I'm in my office, the Hans Corell video starts up, and as the dean is introducing him, she's at the podium, ad pops in, phase in, tummy tuck surgery. Ever see Roger Rabbit? Yeah, I got on the phone with you immediately, Mike, and said, we're switching to Mobilus Pro now. Told my boss, he's like, okay. And that ended the Mobilus free channel. So we're paying about $350 to $400 a month for Mobilus Pro. And we did that for our Energy in the Law conference. And I'll talk more about that in a second. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to our co-presenter, David Resto, who's the assistant director. I thought about doing this on the Mobilus site. We certainly have it set up and everything, but the screen is a little larger in FLV. And this is David Resto, the Assistant Director for Information Systems at Hofstra Law School. And he'll be talking to you about the Procaster software and the Livestream website, which we use to broadcast live webcasts, as well as on-demand recordings as well.
Hi, my name is David Resto, like Eric just mentioned, and I'm going to give you a small overview of Procaster and the Livestream studio, which we use to do our webcasts and our on-demand videos. First, I'm going to show you a little preview of Procaster with a little video. So bear with me 1 second while I post it.
Easiest to use. Once you've installed the software and logged on, all you have to do to go live on your channel page or embedded player is simply press the Go Live button. Then, press any of the buttons on the bottom of your screen to control your broadcasting. Here, let me show you how easy it is. Just go to the bottom of the screen and click 2D Mix to see the camera overlaid on the desktop. Click Camera to see the full screen. Click Capture to show my desktop. And we'll zoom in and zoom out as we want to. And then click 3D to go back to the 3D mix. Learning to operate the Procaster software is no more complicated than that. And then when you're done, simply press Stop. The video is now available for
Of course, you can hear the fan of the MacBook Pro as we're doing it.
Like you can see in that video, it is very simple to use, and it's also so simple that you could even use it for faculty lectures. Now, let me give you, I'm going to give you an overview of the Livestream website studio, which we use to actually broadcast the events and on-demand video. I'm going to log into that real quick here. And Livestream actually has a hierarchy usage just like Windows, where it has an admin and it has a member and members of the actual channel. Like you see here in the channel, I have no channels, but I'm a member of the Hofstra channel. We'll go over that in a little bit later. Now, when I hit the studio button in the website, it actually directs me to the studio, and it'll load. Bear with me here. Full screen, so you can see it. And here it is. This is the actual studio. And the first thing it does is ask you, would you like to give the website access to the onboard camera on the laptop? And I'm going to hit deny because I'm actually getting the feed from the Procaster software that I showed you guys earlier. So hit deny there. I am going to go over the different tabs in detail. So first, I'm going to show you here that in the Configure Channel tab, you have the My Channel. Within that tab, you have all the tabs. And you have here the My Channel tab, which actually gives you the ability to put a short description of your channel, some tags for the search engines, and you could actually set a channel logo, and many other things in category and other things. The next tab, it'll be a Style tab, which actually allows you to brand your channel. It gives you a name, and also gives you a background colors for your widgets that we'll go over later. And it'll actually let you upload a test card up to 100 gigabytes, which we'll actually go over later. The next tab, it will be the Manage Team tab. Like I said before, Gary Moore is the owner of the channel, and then you have me, David Resto, as a member, and our webmaster, Mike Wagner, as the also a member. The next step that I want to go over is the Manage Library tab, which allows you to manage all your videos in one spot. Here you have you're able to view the different videos that you set up. Let me demonstrate that 1 second. So Livestream allows you to upload videos as the same as record them as you transmitting them. And this is an example of the video that we uploaded.
Okay, welcome.
Here you see how it plays. And I'm going to close that little demonstration. And Livestream allows you to upload the videos, like I said, up to 1 gigabyte per video. That is a lot of video when you talk about Flash files. You could also upload MOV files and MPEG-4 files. This is very handy. You just give it a title, description, and tag, and it uploads the full thing. the next tab, which is the most important tab, is live in the broadcast live tab. Here, you're able to see all the cameras in your chat that are currently in your channel. The cool thing about Livestream, it actually allows you to do multiple cameras at a time, which you can see here. I'm gonna broadcast another camera so you guys can see here how easy it is. Also, oh, there it is. Also, the only downside on having multiple cameras is that you have to have multiple machines running. So, if you want to have 2, 3 cameras, 4 cameras running in one event, you will have to have 4 different PCs or stations with a camera connecting to Livestream.com. I can see also, if you click on the little black window, it actually allows you to preview what each camera is actually transmitting or picking up. Like you see here on the left, on the bottom, you see a left view of the camera. And let me show you how easy it is to broadcast to the world your stream. By just hitting the Q button, it actually cues your video. If you would like to record your video, just hit the record. But we don't have to do that anymore because we have podcasters that record for us as we speak. And you transmit the video. It allows you to control the audio and video for each stream that you're sending out to the world. Like you see there, I actually turned the audio off so we don't get feedback from the speakers and the microphone. Now, let me show you how easy that was. Now we're transmitting live on the website, on our Hofstra, Hofstra EDU/media website, which you could actually go to see all on-demand videos, which I'm going to show you one second here. Like you can see here on the right, where I just pulled up, you can see all the videos that we've done so far. Basically limitless. You can set up as many as you would like here, and by just clicking on it, it gives you the title here on the top and on the screen on bold green letters, and here is the video.
That's that video I was telling you about, the room 240 census.
And also, it has a chat feature that we actually disabled because of we only use it when it's live, so we turn it. It's turned on right now. Now let's go back to livestreamstudio.com, and here I want to go over a couple more things. It also allowed that widget that you saw in the last screen. You're actually able to create it within the Livestream.com website. Here in the Get Widget tab, you're actually able to set up the widget and set it up as you like. You can set it up to be 600 by 1,000 if you would like, and post it anywhere you like. Also, you're able to see statistics. This is very useful when creating reports and to see how many users have been in your website, viewing which videos and what videos to see which is more popular. Also, very important, branding. It's what I said before was that you could actually upload your own logo and set up your own background color and test card. The test card, I'm going to show it to you, what we've done so far here. By just hitting the resume button, it goes to Hofstra Law School test card, which is also transmitting live right now by just hitting the resume button on the autopilot. Let me show it to you. Like you see, it's broadcasting live, and it's very convenient when you're done broadcasting events. Now, that is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for viewing, and hope to see you soon in our webcast. Thank you very much.
Okay, can everybody hear me now? So you can see it's actually very easy to use. Some of the things that David didn't mention is you can also automatically queue up the video to play when you go on the web player. So when you go on the law.hofstra.edu/webcast, we could theoretically set up, and we have set up automatically to queue one of the videos to play automatically. So if you're doing that for promotional things, if you want to, say for prospective students, and say, come to our website. As soon as you get there, you'll see the Supreme Court debate panel we had. So, very interesting piece of software. And just a quick review, you can create your own channel. There's the ability to brand. The scalability is great. You have multiple feeds. Yes, you have to have each camera connected to a workstation, a PC that's running Procaster. What we used to have to do is that we used Adobe Flash Encoder, and we streamed through that. But we no longer need to do that with the Procaster software. The Procaster software came out a couple months ago, and we're actually we're going to talk about in a second. Another webcast solution that we're using is Panopto. And what did you call it, friends? Yeah. That's what he calls it. And that's placed by the guys doing it at Carnegie Mellon. And they actually have a similar program, Panopto, and they have a Panopto recorder, a piece of software you can run and automatically webcast as well. And I can show you during the show and tell time, the fun time we do with that. So there's also, you have the ability to do direct links, so you can do a direct link on we have an archive site, so you can go directly to a video on livestream.com. So if you want to go directly to the 2010 census, we have that link. You don't have to go into the on-demand. The ability to storyboard, so if you see on our on-demand site right now, law.hofstra.edu/webcast, you go through the player, you'll actually see that we have like a storyboard for the Energy and Law Conference and all the panels underneath that. And like I said, the professional version is really what you want to do. Like I said, on average, we're paying about $400 a month. You really don't want to use the ads one unless you want to create your own home channel. Yes, Mike?
If you compare that to the cost of owning and maintaining a streaming video server.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example.
Monthly cost seems like a lot. But
it doesn't seem, and when you see right now that the maintenance that the university's paying on their Helix server is $4,500 a year. And then there's the cost of the server itself. I can't even tell you how much a streaming video server is right now. If somebody has that cost, please feel free to chime in. This is interactive.
10,000.
10,000.
I think we just bought ours. Windows Media.
And that's including the storage and all that? Or?
No, not including the storage.
There you go. Pays for itself. It really does. Even though you go over with bandwidth and the thing, we're still going to, I don't know how it's going to be in the next year. It's still going to be less than that. So what have we learned from this past year at Hofstra doing webcasts? A lot. There are a lot of technical issues. Setup time. I can't stress that enough. I mean, setting up for, like the census thing in a room where, it's not really the ideal place for multiple panels and having to, get multiple microphones. It was also modeless with beta, so we had an issue. We had some things in the beginning about recording, and I'm going to give you advice in a little bit about that. That was also, we learned some things in that, but there's a lot of prep time and there's a lot of overhead in the beginning, but it's worth it. But you're going to have that no matter what, whether you're doing live stream or you're doing your own video streaming server. Staffing issues. Mike and David did a bang-up job with this site, but I spent a lot of time on it. We also, I'll tell you advice that I give you in a second about student aides. We also have a lot of student aides that would work with us. So during the Energy and the Law Conference, they wanted to webcast live different rooms with different panels, and there were 3 different rooms. So we're going through it, not only were we recording later the other panels to upload, we're recording 3 different rooms live. So we had student aides working with us in, I think tag teams actually. Mike was working with student aide, David was working with another, and we had 2 that together in another room, just to cable everything, make sure everything's right. Because I think somebody said before, what do students like to do? They like to pull things out. So we actually had a time, I think we had something in 308 where David tested out, everything's good, ready to go. Some student kicked the cable out. So you had issues like that. So what does the future hold for webcasting and video capture? There are a lot of solutions out there. Live stream, Ustream, you all screen for video streaming. Sorry. Panopto. Panopto is a very, very interesting, it's really geared toward academia. It's done at Carnegie Mellon. The guys at Carnegie Mellon created it. We actually signed up for Panopto, and I'll show you the cost in a second. We did that to replace, we were using Wimba. Actually, we do it for library workshops. Lisa Spars graced us with our appearance. She used it heavily, and she's now taking the plunge into Panopto. So at the time, Panopto, Livestream didn't have the Procaster. They were really strictly the webcasting. We were using Adobe Flash Encoder, and we were going on the site to do all our configurations. They didn't come out with Procasters until very recently, and we already signed up for Panopto. So it'll be interesting. I told Lisa we're going to keep both and try out both. I like Procaster a lot. I do like the Panopto recorder as well. There's some bugs, but the support at Panopto is great. That's what we're going to use for our library workshops, or maybe either one. It's up to Lisa. I'll leave it to her. It's very easy to use, and the nice thing is that Lisa can do it herself. Both solutions, Panopto or Livestream with a Procaster, she can do it herself, and she can broadcast live. That's a beautiful thing about it. So it's already there. We'll give you membership. You already have the account for Panopto, but we'll give you membership for Livestream. Who's going to win? I mean, they're all coming out with the same solutions. Echo's coming out with their own recorder software for the desktop. I haven't talked to the guys at Sonic Foundry, but I wouldn't be surprised. Who's going to win out? Well, they're all going for the same market share. But the key thing, I think, is these three are going to have to rethink their pricing structure. They are exorbitantly expensive. Exorbitantly. To give you a little background, we did an RFP to automate our classroom capture before our budget shortfall got. And we supposedly had this set money, we were actually going to be able to do this. And it was prohibitively expensive, but this is really before we investigated more Panopto and Livestream. And now that doing those recordings, I'm rethinking ever even using these guys, some of these guys. But I'm going to talk more about what happened with that RFP and budgeting and that in a second. But they're going to have to really seriously rethink their pricing structure, because Livestream and Panopto are going to beat the tar out of them. I really do believe that. They're just too prohibitively expensive. So why would I consider Livestream over competitors? First of all, the Procaster software is terrific. It really is very easy to use. It picks up your camera, it picks up your screens, your PowerPoint, just like that. And by default, it broadcasts live. So that's one of the kicker things, is that maybe if you don't want your faculty member to broadcast live, you have to show them how to do that. It's really, honestly, easy to use. The picture is fantastic. We've never had really any issues as far as when we stream live and fragmenting. The scalability, the ability to do multiple feeds, that's something that Panopto doesn't have. Ustream only allows you to share video. I mean, I still have to work with it a little bit. I'm testing that out. I'll give you my philosophy in a second. It really is a TV studio. It really, really is really well done. Just to give you a background with Livestream, Apple used it for their developers conference. So when Andrew and David were actually at the Apple developers conference for iPhone apps last week, that's what they were using. So really, really good product. And these companies are using, like Ustream has got the CBS Evening News. So I mean, it's got mainstream use. Advice I would give people if you're doing a webcasting site: what's your resources? Can you be willing to spend the money on a video streaming server? Do you have the system manager to do, oversee that? Permanent equipment configurations. I can't stress enough, we really need to do that. We were talking, I was talking to him about the 10-minute setup to set up a camera like that, working with tripods. We found out that the tripods that were recommended to us sucked. True. So we have to get new tripods. If we could really work on it, I'm looking at maybe doing some kind of hybrid with what Tom Ryan's doing at Rutgers with the Access cameras. If we could plug that into Livestream, I would really like to do that. I'm going to talk to you about, I'm still trying to stay away from the video server. And I'll explain that in a second. Budget and demand setup in any project you do, webcast. Tell them that. 10 minutes is not acceptable. I can't stress that enough. The smart thing about this panel, this conference, 30 minutes between panels to get everything set up. We've dealt with 10, 15 minutes at I think it was 15 minutes for the Energy Law Conference. And it's just not, when you're testing out feeds, it's not enough time. And so, I've actually held off the dean for a lecture on news. I said, look, we have one slight problem, let us fix this before. If they want a really good webcast, they've got to work with you. So budget and demand setup time. Always have a backup plan. That's my philosophy in life. It's like the A-team, the Pamela Smith. Always have a backup plan. I do pop culture references, guys. It's the way things are. And these guys know it. So your mobile site, you can record automatically on mobile. Not only you broadcasting live, you also have a record feature. When it was beta, sometimes it would work. So we made sure we had our mini DVDs or our hard drives, they were recording to that as well. Always have a backup plan. Staffing, staffing, staffing. If any of you guys are affiliated with a university, I highly recommend film majors. They love this stuff. I was using another word, but this is a family presentation guy. And they've been really, really key. We have our own video production group, but it's really Mike and student aides. And they really do a great job of setting up the camera angles, do a really good job of testing everything. They actually even do some edits because chime in, please.
We have one student assistant that joined us this summer, and he interned at the local news station. And when he came to start working for our group, he said, "Wow, this is great. I actually get to do stuff." I said, "What do you mean? You had a great internship." It's like, "Oh no, I just did photocopies." And this is actually it's a real internship and it's real work. So I think it's a great draw, and it's great to hear that from the students.
Yes, it really is. They really love it. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I echo what he's saying too, and what you and I talked about earlier. It's, they come, I get my crew, I have a staff of 10, and I get out my crew from the film school because they come to me with a vocabulary, and then in the interview process, I work on things about timeliness and work ethic and all like that, but, you don't have to explain to them what, backstage, front stage talent and all that kind of stuff is, because it's a vocabulary they're used to working with, so.
Yep. A lot of work with Adobe Premiere and editing and all that.
Yeah,
They come up with some really good.
Final Cut Pro, and,
Yep.
they deal with Final Cut Pro like it's second nature. And the thing about it is that they have, an image in their mind of what, so you don't have to worry about home movies. They're not gonna produce a home movie. It's gonna have production value, and that's a step. And most law schools are affiliated in some way with a major campus, so you have access to that personnel. The other thing I wanted to mention that, or ask, is do you have access to work study money, or do you pay them a casual?
No, we have work study money, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a budget for work study money and that. So
Yeah.
our students can work 20 hours a week.
Yeah, the same thing, but with us, at Columbia, we add a few bucks on top of the.
Yeah, we do.
So that you get it's a professional job. It's not a dishwashing job, it's not a card swiping job, it's a professional job. So we give them a professional buck. So we add I think in New York State, the cap is $12 an hour, and then we add a few bucks on top of that, so.
Yeah,
So
we do
they,
similar to that too.
yeah, so that they walk out of, a day's work with a reasonable paycheck, and,
Right.
and it's,
Thank you, Tony. I agree with you fully, and that's what we do. And yeah, in fact, one of our student aides, this is Steve who worked for News Club? Steve Pellegrino, one of our student aides, he came up with a brilliant idea. We're looking to do a video tour, and he suggested the new residence hall. Why don't we do a tour of the residence hall? None of us thought of that. Not even the admissions thought of that. They're like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So we're planning to work on doing that. So I agree with you fully. I highly recommend filming. Promotion of webcasts. It's a twofold thing there. It's one, it's getting your, I hate saying it, I hate not piling on, but the communications department or some department to promote the webcast. If the student affairs wants to do a webcast, they got to promote it. Nothing pains me more, and I know Mike is the same way and Andrew's the same way on this, that when I do a webcast and we see 8 people on, and we've had that for a couple, and nothing bothers me more than that, because we went through the amount of work and time to set up that webcast. So if somebody's going to tell you to do a webcast, and you're going to say, fine, you need to promote it. I want to see messages. If it's like several weeks in advance, put it on our display system, email, and it's not even just that. You can use the webcast also for promotion, for promoting your school. I mean, that's, we're going to really try and push that with the office of enrollment for the law school. So that you could, we have this here, we have this ability, and also we can use this also for, they would like to do accepted students chats for Dean. We can use the Procaster now. There's also that instead of what we used Wimbo, it worked out okay, but it's not as nice. And it has the chat room feature. But not only that, but you can automatically show videos. Like if you want to show Hans Corell, minus the ads. We can automatically start playing that. And I think it's a really good promotional feature, and you can embed it. He has a name site, and I'll talk about that more in a second. that, you know, he can embed the video right into that. So, for current students. So, why outsource, or why I consider outsourcing? There's a change in philosophy. First of all, the university switched their email system from NetMail, which was a complete disaster, to Gmail for students. And the nice thing about it is also now we have the function, you know, they can keep it as an alumni. So I don't get I get actually a lot of things when students graduate say, do I get to keep my account? I never got that when they had NetMail. Never. They were like, good riddance. And they said, yeah, and does it keep all your info? Yes, you keep all your info. Beautiful thing, Gmail, beautiful thing. So they were not. Maintenance and keeping current. I mean, so there's, let's go back then, money and budget. There is the vendor I told you about that we chose out of 3 for an RFP for classroom capture. And they wanted to do, we needed to set up a web server and an application server for the product, you know, for the solution. And we didn't, you know, at the time we didn't have, you know, the money for the web server or the application server yet. And we needed to get it, and we're going through the systems department was working with us. So the vendor we chose, you know, or at the time we chose before our project got axed, said, you know, we can temporarily host it. So I'm there with the systems manager on the phone, conference call, and he's like, is there any way you could permanently host it? Yeah, I was shocked that our computers and stuff, but that's their change of philosophy. They're starting to realize that. They're looking to switch, we're switching from group-wise to either Exchange, or it looks like right now they're very interested in the Google Sync with Outlook or Gmail. So that's a possibility. Keeping current, maintenance. All right, what was the standard video format 3 years ago? Anybody?
Real.
What's that?
Real.
Yeah, that's why I had the Helix. And a little bit less of Windows Media and QuickTime. What's the standard format now? What's the standard format 3 years from now? What?
I'm just guessing it. Who knows?
See, that's the thing. No. I don't want to invest money in technology that we don't know is going to change 3 years from now. Video, I think, is the most volatile of any technology. I think the format's always changing. I mean, look at Blu-ray and DVD. I mean, Flash is the standard now, but who knows? Callie might come up with the MAY for the Mayer format in 3 years. Okay, why not? So, it's very volatile and it's keeping current. The also thing about keeping current is it allows us to keep with technology that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise from not being able to outsource. We didn't know Drupal from Droopy the dog. Sorry, another culture reference. I promised Dave, I promised somebody a text, and he's not here. I promised him a Tex Avery cartoon reference. But we didn't know. Now we know Drupal. Now I know B2 Evolution blocks. I know how to administer it, how to create that, and set that up. We didn't know that until we did Bluehost. We didn't know how to do the webcast through that. And I know we're getting more, but you know, we subscribe to sites already. I mean, we outsource already. You do Gmail, you do Facebook, you have YouTube channels, Twitter. I mean, I'm getting all the text messages from Callie on Twitter. It's a terrific thing. So we do that already. These are some of our fixed costs. And you see the grand total number here, $6,600. And I didn't include the toll anywhere. This is our annual cost for Bluehost. These are the domains we set up for Bluehost, and this is actually going to be a recurring cost for a little while, because we renewed 5 years for Flare Project and Hofstra OIT, which hosts our wiki that we hopefully get up at the end of the summer, right, Andrew? This is our annual average cost for Livestream. This is Panopto. This is our Ning site. We're building a social network site through Ning, and if anybody was at the great presentation that Mike did this morning on Ning, that gives us the ability to create a social network, and we're not restricted by Facebook. I know the restrictions of Facebook, but we're able to create our own Ning site. We can embed stuff in that technology. We wouldn't necessarily be able to do that with Facebook. And that's our cost for the Aweber, that's the email, the RSS feed. So that's really what we're speaking on. It's not including, obviously the cost of student aids and all that, but that's a standard cost for all that. It's funny, I thought I wasn't going to have enough time in this 155 minutes. So my final thoughts. I would not outsource most of our core services, meaning the portal, content, let's step back on that. Our file server, our SAN storage, a lot of core services. But my mind is like New England weather, as a friend of mine says. It's subject to change. And, you know, we're rethinking certain things right now. We're working on a project where we, you know, I can't say right now, but from here now, we may be able to talk about it. That involve, you know, rethinking. If I could do everything in-house and not outsource, would I? No. Video. I really, truly, honestly believe a streaming server is not the way to go. No offense, Irene.
It wasn't my decision.
No, I really don't think so. Right now, I think that's money better spent. I think the money we better spent on setting up the current cameras and configuring it to a live, you know, to a workstation like, and then be connected to Panopto or, you know, something like that, or Livestream. I really, truly believe that. Saul Hansel writes for the New York Times, and he's really engraved this into my head, and I really, truly believe it. In today's world, you don't so much buy technology products as subscribe to them. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You know, we subscribe to Bluehost, we subscribe to Livestream, we subscribe to iTunes. We have an iTunes channel. We do a lot of that. That's a key thing. Let them make sure they're up to date and current with technology. It's their livelihood depends on it. Their business depends on being current. You know, invest in them, and you can always, if they don't stay current, you can go to somebody else. That's the beautiful thing about it. And so that's, you know, that's really, for me, it's been a change of philosophy because I always used to be an in-house guy, and I've learned over time, or situations, you can't. And really, this past year really changed my thinking for the better. Hopefully this hour session wasn't a prison sentence, but thanks for doing the time. Silly me, it always forgets to do things. Always, when I go on a trip, I always think I do everything, and I always forget. I forgot two things: charger for my phone and business cards. Good job, Gary. That is my email address. Please feel free to contact me. You can always, I'm on the Cali site often. I always send an occasional message to Technoids. I really thank you for your time. If anybody's got any questions, anyone wants to go see Bluehost under the hood, wants to see a little bit of Panopto, please come up. Thank you so much.